And I think that's invaluable. And I don't know if many other teams in the country have had the amount of players see the field for that significant amount of time that the Aggies have. And I think that's what's really going to benefit them down the road.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind. Take number 3. David Nuno here. He is Billy Liucci, who's normally not here. No joke here. You're normally not here for the Rewind. You don't come to the mean streets.
What TV show are you trying to make that
I don't know.
makes a cameo guest appearance?
Yeah, kind of like when Heather Locklear would show up on Melrose Place.
Oh,
like she was always a special guest.
One. Yeah, and that was always good. They'd promote it like to get you locked in.
But she was there almost every episode.
Locklear's going to be on.
She was good. She was a big deal back in the day.
You got to be a certain age to appreciate Heather Locklear, but yeah.
Hey, all ages appreciate Jim Schlossnagle here in studio with us after a great weekend. We had him on the show. Boomer White on the program.
Okay.
Buzz Williams, Manny Obaseki, your SEC Player of the Week.
That's awesome for Manny.
Yeah.
Golly, I mean, who saw that coming 2 weeks ago? You did? Yeah.
I didn't see the SEC Player of the Week. I thought they should give him more of a look. I did.
Well, I think he had to
He'd earn it.
Earn it in practice, which it seemed like he did from time to time because he'd get minutes. But then he had to start making shots and free throws, and he started doing both. And then he's gotten more and more confident with the ball in his hands, attacking the basket. He's been absolute difference maker in this stretch. You know? And was it South Carolina where he was the first game where he okay, I thought maybe they should have had him on the court a little more down the stretch in that game, and he's shown why since.
So is it now a trend? Is it like, can we believe that this is what we're going to get, or we still need to see one or two more?
No, I mean, not to say he's going to be perfect and every game's going to be like he had against Ole Miss, but I do think you've got a confident veteran basketball player that you're entering the tournament, and he's had a stretch of about 4 games in a row where he's playing really well. That should continue.
Yeah.
And they need it to. They need that. He has been a difference for them. Once they went from a 4-game losing streak, and I know they lost a 5th in South Carolina, but they had lost 4 games in a row where really
they didn't look good.
They played very poorly against Tennessee, which is more understandable, but they also played poorly at home against Arkansas. They played poorly at Vandy. I don't know who's that 4th loss to there.
Arkansas, Vandy,
Alabama,
thank you.
Oh, Alabama, yeah. At Tennessee, but they weren't competitive in those losses. And we saw A&M beat the brakes off Tennessee. We've seen A&M be competitive against Bama last year. We've seen them competitive in Tuscaloosa. We've seen other teams since be very competitive and beat Alabama. So that whole thing of, they beat us by 30, but they're really good at home, and they're just so good at threes. Well, Arkansas took them to overtime. Florida took them to you've been playing bad basketball. And now not just during this 3-game losing streak or winning streak, but counting South Carolina as well, even though you lost that game on the final possession, they've been playing really good basketball. They've been playing tournament-worthy. We can go win a game in this bad boy. We can win a couple. They've been playing that type basketball for 4 games. It's not a coincidence that Manny Obaseki has been playing the way he has during that stretch.
It is the Rewind. Go check it out. One of the things I took away from your presser yesterday was it was good to go through a little bit of adversity yesterday where, you're sweating it in the 8th and 9th inning.
Sweating is to say the least. In hindsight, of course, it's good to go through it, especially when you win. But I do truly believe, I used to not think this way. I'd be pouting, but, things happen for you, not to you. So I think, it's good to face adversity. It's good to have to fight back through. We have a little thing we call catch-up baseball when we're behind from the 7th inning on. It gave us a chance to get in that, and so I was proud of our guys at bats. I mean, we had 2nd and 3rd with a shot up and 1 out to tie the game, right? And he grounded out, which means that kind of took the air out of it. He had a runner at 3rd base and 2 outs, and we were still able to get that tie and run across. So proud of our guys for hanging in there, and that's just good. It's a good reference point moving forward when we're in those situations again.
You really you played 28 innings of baseball over the course of 3 days, and Rhode Island only scored in 2 of those innings, and obviously the 8-run frame. And when you go back and you take inventory of that half inning, is there some teachable moments in there for you and your staff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you hear Max talk. I mean, we've been talking about it for the free base war. But yeah, we gave them free bases. We had an error. We had a 0-2 or 2-strike hit batter. Then we walked a guy on four pitches, had a catcher's interference. So yeah, most teams, and then look how we won the game. They gave us free bases. And then Braden had a double in there. Teddy had a homer, and then the final hit. So it's free bases, man. There really aren't that many games in which you get bloodied to death by somebody swinging the bat. It's you give up the free bases, and so that's why, you and I were talking offset earlier. When you start looking at a travel roster, who's going to throw the most strikes? Because at the end of the day, whether it's nobody cares how hard you throw ball four. It's just, you got to throw the ball over the plate, and so. But yeah, that's where that came from. We got out of our element from at least what we have been to this point, and didn't throw strikes or kick the ball around a little bit, and that's what led. And then you get a couple big swings. So credit Rhode Island.
They're 16-0. They're doing it multiple ways. Their pitching has been great. Their batting is obviously phenomenal. Relief pitching, like everything has been so nice this year. How much can you read into a non-conference with a grueling SEC schedule coming?
Yeah, that's kind of the tough question, isn't it? I mean, Rob Childress set these schedules so that he could crank out a bunch of wins at the beginning of the year, knowing the gauntlet. And I think Jim Schlossnagle's almost done the opposite and always wants to go for those tough non-conference games, maybe to get you ready for it. So it is the tall task and getting ready for this gauntlet that they're about to go through, especially in Florida. So I think you can read into it a little bit. I think you guys have gotten a ton of reps that maybe they wouldn't have gotten. You're seeing a lot of different players, a lot of freshmen getting not only just a couple at bats, but we're talking starting games and getting, 10, 15 innings of work and exposure. So I think you're going to have a lot of depth and a lot of individuals, both in the bullpen and in the lineup you can call on. And I think that's invaluable. And I don't know if many other teams in the country have had the amount of players see the field for that significant amount of time that the Aggies have. And I think that's what's really going to benefit them down the road.
How about the job that this pitching staff has done, and obviously how they've been able to remake the way we look at them? Max has been phenomenal for them. Just overall, your thoughts on how this pitching staff has been reformed?
Well, it just seems like they've really kept it simple. I think the talent is better this year. I think the depth is better, but I think that everything kind of gets put in its place when you pound the strike zone with a fastball and a breaking ball. And I think that that's what we expected Max to come in and provide and teach these guys how to do. But I think when you go out there and do it, it just makes it look really simple. And I don't know if the fans can appreciate it as much. I don't know. It's not always super sexy, but I mean, you watch Ryan Prager pitch, and it's almost like he just throws two pitches right over the middle every time is what you see. But the ability to get ahead in the count, the ability to dominate and just suffocate hitters with strikes allows you to open up your whole arsenal when you have to go get outs. And that's what this team's really done. Starters, relievers, closers. And I think it just makes it look very simple, even though it's not.
What's been the biggest difference in this team, whether it's anything you guys have done or anything the players are doing?
Well, I think the belief that they have in one another and the belief that they have in us has never altered. And I know that's not a stat and it's not a sexy thing to say. I know you understand it because of the access you have to other sports and different levels. You see it. The ability to hang in there when things aren't going your way.
Yeah.
That's becoming harder and harder to find. And for our guys to stay together, not only with one another, but within the staff, and for the staff to stay with them. Nobody's pointing at one another. Everybody's still pulling in the same direction. I know that that's not quantifiable, and I know that it's not something you can touch, but personally, that's what I think that it is. we've ran what we call cover 2. I mean, we call it Seattle 3 in honor of Coach Gus, but our defense has been the same. I do think that we've been better defensively.
Yeah.
We've been better defensively because we're guarding the ball. We're defending without fouling, which has been so important to us over the last week and a half. And if you are defending the ball and you're defending without fouling, most of the time it probably means your defense is not in rotation. And if your defense is not in rotation, you have a better probability of finishing the possession with a rebound. And our defensive rebound percentage has been really, really good. And when we can get a stop, it trends towards we can play with a little bit more tempo in the first 6 to 8 seconds of the possession. Not so much on Saturday, but for sure the previous 2 games, that tempo allowed us to be the first team in the bonus. And we haven't done a great job throughout the year of making free throws, but over the last few games we have. And so I think it's all interconnected, to be honest.
It's magic for anybody that was there and watched A&M walk it off. It's magic for Hayden Schott, who got a game-winning base hit. It's magic for the team that thought they might lose their first game of the year and won it and ran out there and celebrated.
It's okay to enjoy the good
all
times.
We mean by that, all anyone means by that, is A&M walked it off at Olsen Field, at Bluebell Park. That is what we call Olsen magic. Period. It's what it is. We don't have to nitpick it. If they played a team with, if they'd have walked off TSU, we'd have called it that. It is what it is. There's no reason to let that bother you. There's no reason to try to correct David, me, Olin, Bronny, anybody that you see on the street, any of your friends. Well, it's not really magic when you beat. You sound like a damn Longhorn when you do that. Seriously. My point is, no matter who you beat, when you're undefeated and you walk off, it's a big win. Mm-hmm. It's fun. It sends them into the week on a high note. And I think the more of those last at-bat games you can win, there is some payoff against better teams down the road. Look, they have now been behind. They hadn't faced much adversity this year in terms of being behind. Now, they did twice this week. It didn't come from the team in Austin. It didn't come at Dish Falk Field. It came to not Texas, but Texas Southern. It came in the former Rhode Island.
Yep.
But now they've been down 3-1 in the 7th or whatever it was. They've been down, 11-7, had to weather just an absolute barrage and recover and rebound in the final 3 innings of a game. These things matter. They do add up. Now, would I have been just crushed had they lost that game? I would. I want them to stay undefeated for as long as they can keep this going.
All right, we're going to close out by going to Matthew.
Whoa. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to let Matthew Dawson close it out. Do you want to tell the people what to do? You want to be presidential?
I want to be present.
Yes.
I want to be Matthew.
Matthew Dawson, tell the people.
Close us out.
You
Dawson's Creek.
You gotta comment, you gotta subscribe, and you gotta share.
Do all that, we'll all be happy. Thanks so much for watching.
Dawsonator.
The Dawsonator. We'll see you next time.